Here we see a BIM master in the design stage with the typical displays of basic planning components such as floor plans, facades and sections for a design project. In Elite CAD, you can now convert the entire project to comply with the standards of a work drawing. First, we assign materials to the construction types, which are then displayed in accordance with the applicable standards in Germany, Switzerland and Austria. To add detail to the construction, I add rafters to the roof together with ridges and purlins, and we immediately see how these parts are displayed in a logically consistent way. These construction parts automatically adjust themselves if the pitch or height of the roof is changed. I now change sections and select insulation between the rafters. You can generate definitions like these yourself very quickly. Each layer can be individually selected and applied to the model. I now select an external wall with thermal insulation and see how the different layers intersect each other in a logically consistent way. In the editor, I now specify the construction of the roof terrace, enter names and select the appropriate layer format. Every one of these different layers can now be inclined as appropriate or their dimensions modified. This incline definition will apply to subsequent layers. I now specify the direction of the incline, which then immediately appears in the section. To finish the edge of the roof, I now define the details of the roof edge. This consists of two parts: a vertical construction and a limiting layer at the top. I will now draw both these parts with a vector over this area. Once drawn, this vector defines the layers beneath it in a logically consistent way. I now enter 2 points for height and incline, and immediately the roof edge is displayed. Note also how the different layers intersect each other in a logically consistent way. This construction will now also be applied to the lateral parts. I set limits for these, and the information is now also displayed correctly for the side parts. I now drag the thermal insulation layer of the external side part up over the ceiling and see how these layers now intersect each other and behave in a logically consistent way in terms of construction. Certain layers, for example the hydro insulation layer, can be adjusted very easily using the handles. Not only is a 2D drawing displayed correctly here, the entire BIM now contains this layer construction. To divide a roof, for example, I select the roof in the relevant story in order to split it. For projecting parts in particular, the construction is not always very easy to define. However, with Elite CAD, it can be done very rapidly. In the story below, I now specify how the roof is to be split. I enter the area in which this roof is to be split, define the different constructions, and straight away I can specify this layer definition in the model. Here I specify additional thermal insulation in the lower area. I can adjust the thickness by changing the parameters, and this layer now appears immediately in the area. Note that I am solving all these problems in the room and not just in 2D detail, with the advantage that later on I can set intersections at any point and that all of these parts appear in a logically consistent way. See, for example, here how I can incline this cantilevering slab and then drag all these layers of the floor construction and also specify the vertical edge strips. I now place a section horizontally to the construction above, and immediately I can see how this layer format functions. Here we can see very quickly that this thermal insulation area in fact passes through the whole building. Note how this layer of thermal insulation is fitted around these parts. I now have the option to create a section at a point of my choosing, and once the problems in BIM have been resolved, all of the sections are available. This spatial guidance of the different layers enables me to achieve a perfect construction. Afterwards, a section can be placed at any random point, thus providing you with all the details you require. Here we are not primarily generating a plan, but creating the entire construction in the 3D model, with the ultimate aim of being able to achieve a perfect construction and of obtaining the corresponding plans.